Good evening, everybody. The Matt Levine Migration Podcast is officially back. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Spiffy High special. Oh, and here we are. I got Sophie Shapiro. We're going to talk to you in a second, Sophie. Welcome to the Spiffy High special. Tonight, live on YouTube, 9 p.m. as promised. We're super excited for this. But before we get into Spiffy High, before we hear from the first female participant ever, as well as Jamie Weinberg, organizer of Spiffy High, who's coming on at 9:30, I have a couple shout outs that I want to give. First off, a great showing of student empowerment this morning from Alina Pieri. I saw the video, Alina. Shout out to you for double parking a woman who parked in your parking spot and is preventing you from getting the class. That's the student empowerment that we need. So thank you, Alina. And then, of course, Sophie, I got a question for you. Do you know what song that was?
What song you just played?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't.
That song was actually by my band. So I got to plug my band while I'm on my podcast. That song was by my band, Lucky Prophet. We have an EP coming out this winter. That song is called Leave the Light On. I want to shout out Aiden Sopranowitz, the drummer from Westfield, Sam Smith, who's our singer from Westfield, Asher Gelfin, who plays bass. He's over in Cranford. Such a great group of people to work with. And stay tuned for our EP that's coming out this winter, as well as this Matt Levine YouTube page that you guys are watching this Spiffy High special from. This is your one-stop shop for all things Matt Levine. You could check out other episodes of the podcast. You could check out some of my solo stuff musically, and then as well as you can see some of my performances with my band Lucky Prophet. So be sure to check that out. And so now, Sophie, how are you? It's prime time. It's 9 p.m. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I've been excited for this. I posted the trailer this weekend, the Bill O'Reilly trailer, about how we're gonna do this live. And I think people are really excited to hear what you have to say. And
I'm
of course,
to be on the podcast, Matt Levine's podcast himself.
well, we were actually talking about this before the show, how various people sometimes come up to me and they're like, whether it may be for the Fan Scotian or for this podcast, people ask, "Oh, Matt." Oh, I just started recording. Apologies for the audio listeners. People sometimes ask, "Oh, could I be on your podcast?" And it's like, for me, it's awesome that people definitely want to be, but I'm just happy that you decided to come on, as well as Jamie Weinberg, who's coming on at 9:30. Both of you guys get to promote Spiffy High, which is happening on Friday evening, as well as obviously getting to share your side of things. So before we go over to you and kind of talk about your story, for any of our listeners who aren't familiar with Spiffy High, or any of our Scotch Plains student body who's here tonight, I just wanted to give a quick overview of what Spiffy High is all about. Spiffy High is an annual charity event that takes place at Scotch Plains Family High School. This year, 8 contestants will compete in a talent show, go through tuxedo modeling, brief Q&A session, talent competition, lip-syncing battles in order to win the crown. Judges will score the event, and escorts representing each competitor will make their way through the audience to collect money from the count to count towards the final vote. And then all proceeds this year will be going to the Plainfield Humane Society, which has needed funding from damage after Hurricane Ida. So just wanted to set the scene a little bit. But Sophie, a lot of people want to hear from you.
I'm sure they do.
So just start us off here. Tell us the reasons behind, wanting to be a part of Spiffy High. Obviously, you're the first female participant ever, so this is kind of a big deal. So tell us all about it.
Okay. Well, it started when everyone started sending out the form, like saying, "Oh, sign up, sign up."
Funding from damage after Hurricane Ida. So, my bad. Apologies. Anyway, go on.
You're good. And I was sitting in class and I was like talking to my friends and I was like, "Oh, like what if what if I do it?" And I was kind of just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wait, it kind of like was like a realization, like, oh, girls have never done it, and girls sign up for it. It's literally called Mr. Spiffy High. And as I was saying, like, oh, I want to do it, I was like, wait, literally no girl has ever done it. So I was like, wait, I'm gonna sign up. Like, why not? Like, why not?
Yeah.
So then I filled out the form, and I was kind of scared because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I feel like people are gonna think I'm like kidding and it's like an attention thing, but it's like genuinely like in that moment where I was like, what if I sign up? I was kind of like, first of all, it's kind of sexist. It's
Yeah.
Mr. No like Miss. There's no general Spiffy. Um, and it's also kind of like sexualizing. Like the only role girls really have like in the physical competition is just walking a guy out in a tight little dress and like whatever.
Yeah.
So it kind of like all like dawned on me when I was like supposedly joking about it.
Hmm.
Anyway, so I filled out the form and then my form got removed and
How do you know it got removed?
I was told that it got removed.
Oh,
And yeah. And
that's so
then
awkward.
it is kind of awkward. And I was just like, all right. So I filled out the form again. I was
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
I'm serious. And then of course during this time, like I hadn't talked to Fitz, the advisor for Spiffy. And I'd emailed her after that and I was like, hey, can we talk? Because she's my
Hmm.
marketing teacher. And I was like, I feel like I should explain that I'm not kidding.
Hmm.
Um, so then I went to talk to her and she said it was fine. She said she would defend me. I hope that she owns up to that people, because I know people have been talking crap about it to her, with her, whatever, but I hope that she defends me because I just don't think it's that deep. It's 2021.
Well, I found it interesting. In the Spiffy High trailer, pretty much all the participants went through like, why me? Why should I win it? And you responded because it's 2020 and 2021 and female empowerment. I guess like what does that mean? Like, can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think that in the world we live in now, people are obviously very sensitive to different things. People want to be
Mhm.
included. There's like a big trend of just inclusion. And it's important because, I feel like everyone should be heard, everyone should be accepted. It's just a given. Gender roles in society have become very prevalent. Like everyone should just have a voice, I think, and be able to
Mhm.
participate in anything because it's just the world we live in now. And that's kind of what I was saying is like, it's 2021. Like,
Yeah.
why can't a girl do it at this point? Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous. And I think that like, I hope like I represent girls who have wanted to do it maybe in the past or this year that didn't get to because they said no, or it just wasn't a thing.
Yeah. And is this the first time like where you really have taken on like an activism role? Like when did you start taking activism seriously?
I've really never been one to like, people repost on Instagram, people
Hmm.
do whole like body movements of things. And I've never, not that I disagree, I completely agree with all of it really.
Yeah.
But I just have never been one to like actively participate, but no one else was doing it. And it's not even, I was like, oh, no one else is doing it, let me do it. Like literally I just had like this like rush of like, why not? Like, why can't I? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Um,
I guess like a lot of people just want to know, like I know that you kind of made this decision spontaneously, like you kind of had that why not reaction, but why Spiffy High as your platform to kind of um put like gender equality and like these equal rights on display? Like why are we choosing, I guess, like Spiffy High, which was like a tradition for people in the past. You're making a new tradition now, but why is this your platform instead of something else?
something else. Well, there's really been no other opportunity for me to. I think that this is like our school, we're seniors
Hmm.
now. We're kind of like at the peak of the totem pole for high school. And, it's going to start a trend for hopefully for like younger grades and everyone coming in. And
Yeah.
I have that I have the power now to be a senior and be a participant in this. And what other opportunity would I get to do that? And honestly, like after doing this, I've realized how much of an not like an impact I can make because it hasn't really impacted anything yet, but I'm literally like advocating for something else to be made for girls to be included in. And
Hmm.
I'm working on a proposal right now for that. And it's just opened other opportunities. So I think if I didn't take the opportunity, I wouldn't have opened the doors to other things. And
Yeah.
you just have to take a step at some point. So
And I guess like my other question for you is like why are you the first? Like why haven't other girls thought of competing in Mr. Spiffy High? Do you think you're one of like the few people who view this event as sexist, or do you think a
oh,
lot of people?
probably. People definitely think I'm being like dramatic and I'm really like over like looking way too deep into it. And I mean that might be the case to show satire. It's like
Yeah.
supposed to be like a funny thing. But I mean, I think girls could be funny. Like, I think it could be just as comical. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to be the funniest person to walk the face of the earth, but I think that like I don't know. There's probably been a girl in the past who's like, oh, like what if I did? I don't know. I can't really speak for them, but it's also just been implemented like Mr. Spiffy High, Mr. Spiffy High, Mr. like guys, 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 and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like been in your face that it's just a guy thing.
Because I also find it interesting though, like you have obviously four senior girls who are running it, and then obviously Miss Fitzgibbon who's overseeing the whole thing. So like I understand why people I understand your viewpoint, and then I also understand like the opposition, obviously,
Yeah.
that Spiffy High really isn't a sexist event, that it's more of a satirical event that's meant to raise money, to kind of make fun of some silly senior boys doing some silly things.
Yeah.
Do you see that viewpoint, or like how
I
do you feel about
I
that side?
100% do. I mean, I'm not a person who's very like I just see it one way and my way is
Hmm.
right. Like when even when I just like said that I was going to do it, I was like, I'm gonna get pushback, obviously. Like no one's
Yeah.
gonna really agree with me, and I was fully prepared for that. And trust me, I've gotten plenty of it. And I mean, I completely see the other side. Like, okay, women run it. Okay, like that's like good. Like I'm glad that they do.
Hmm.
Um, why can't a guy run it? What if a guy
Yeah.
wanted to run it? You know what I mean? Like there's like I feel like it goes both ways, and I
Hmm.
see completely both sides, and I completely agree with both. But I'm trying to find the middle ground.
So like to the people that said, like, while I was researching and prepping throughout the week, I do like to do some snooping around. I'm a very inquisitive
Oh, trust
person.
me, I know.
Um, so I spoke to a lot of people throughout the grade this past week, and um, like something that I heard a few times from a couple different people was that she's just doing it for attention.
Oh
Like
yeah.
this is simply uh, Sophie doing her thing, not necessarily um, to promote women's rights and women's equality and gender equality, but simply you know to be able to grandstand and to be able to get attention from it.
Mhm.
So I guess what do you say to those people? I'm not taking a stance either way,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
what do
yeah.
you say to those people who are just kind of hammering you, pounding salt about these traditions being broken? Mr. Spiffy High really isn't sexist. What do you say to all that?
I'm not at all surprised. Oh, I was 100% expecting people to be like, "Oh, she's doing it for attention. Like, she just wants all the spotlight to be on her."
Mhm.
Trust me, like everyone who's watching us who thinks that, like, if I had it my way, no one would know that I'm doing it. I didn't want anyone to know,
Mhm.
but obviously that's not going to happen because people like to talk, and everyone. There's a whole trailer for it. Like everyone's going to find out.
Yeah.
I didn't want people knowing because I knew the complete amount of back. Actually, it's probably more backlash that I got that I thought I was going to initially, but. Um, I don't want the attention. Please take it away from me. Like, take it all on yourselves. Like, put it on yourself because I don't want it and I don't really care for it.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't really also care what people like the bad things people saying about me because it like doesn't affect me anyway. I'm doing it and I know why I'm doing it. And the people who I care about and care about me and who support me, who think it's like a cool thing, like I know people do think that.
Mhm.
And that's important to me. Like, I want people to be able to be like, yeah, like, good for you.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously people are always going to hate no matter what you do, so it was I wasn't surprised at all.
Why are you not surprised?
Because people just like to put reason to things, like they like
Mhm.
to make it their own in their head, and it's easier that way for them to understand it for themselves and to make someone look like the bad guy when they're trying to be the good guy.
Yeah. I guess the one thing that just like from talking to people and obviously interviewing you and then obviously interviewing Jamie later, I just don't understand why there needs to be a good guy or a bad guy. Like
Yeah, no, they're
why
good.
has the narrative turned into this?
I don't know. I think the negative response that I've gotten has been that way, and I was not at all expecting people to bow down and praise me for like
Hmm.
taking this stance. Like I said before, I didn't want any response. I just wanted it to be neutral, like, okay, she's doing it, that's cool, whatever, move on with your day.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the assumptions that have been made and the the negative things that have been said and brought into like groups of people and important people who have important say in this have made there been like sides, and
Mhm.
I'm not taking any side. Again, I'm neutral. Like I see your side, I see that side. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a good or a bad guy. I'm just trying to do something for my school.
Can you go into some of those assumptions? Do you mind if you go into a couple of those assumptions?
Yeah. I mean, people just like started saying that you came up to me the other day. You were like, oh, you're doing a monologue. I was like, not doing.
Yeah, well,
what are you talking about?
there was a rumor throughout the week that your act was a monologue on women's empowerment. I'll ask you what your real act is later, and I'll see if I get a response. But yeah, like why? What was that coming from you? Was that an
No,
original
I
idea that you
literally
had?
never told a single soul I was speaking. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing except for like my closest friends, and
Hmm.
nothing to do with speaking. Um, what else is there? That I was doing it again for attention. I was doing it to take the spotlight away and sabotage the advisors who like run it.
Hmm.
Um, that I was doing it as a joke. Um, that I was trying to like offend people of different sexualities, like
Hmm.
all the above, all the above.
So has that discouraged you? Do you even want to compete in Spiffy High on Friday? Like, how are you feeling right now about it?
Right now, I really don't even want to do it. It's been really stressful, especially this week, because of course
Hmm.
people wait till the last minute to tell me I can't do something that I've been practicing and trying to figure out how to
Yeah.
do. Um, I'm not discouraged by any means. Like, I still want to do it, but it's kind of like shit. Like, it's all gonna like, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, I don't know. I wish there wasn't such a negative response for something that's really not like the end of the world.
Interesting. Because like you mentioned earlier in the interview how you want like the underclassmen and students at younger ages to kind of to see you and maybe think of participating in this in the future. Um, if they're gonna kind of like go through this, then I guess like what's the point, right?
It's true. I think that if people are going to give them a hard time, well, that's why I kind of want to create something different. That's not going to give them a hard time. That's more inclusive. That's
Hmm.
more of a pot. If this is going to be like the negative environment that they're going to create for everyone, like, why would I want people to do that? And that's kind of also what initiated me to be like, hey, I'm going to make something different. And it's not even to like throw it back in anyone's face who does Spiffy High. I want girls to be able to be included. I want guys to be included. I want anyone of any like
Hmm.
gender, sexuality to be included. Like, that's it.
So if you're planning on creating a separate event, I know you mentioned earlier that you currently have a proposal in the works.
Mhm.
Then why are you still competing on Friday? If you're going to kind of be able to transition into this separate event, why even like go through the stress at this point?
I don't know. That's a really great question, actually. You would think I should just stop and just let it
Yeah.
be. Um, I think I might as well go through with it. I don't want people to call me a quitter. I don't want people to say I gave up. So I either, I mean, I don't win either way.
Yeah.
But in my
Hmm.
eyes, I kind of do win, because even if I don't win the title of the first Miss Spiffy High, I still win
Hmm.
in my eyes that I dealt with all this shit and went
Yeah.
through it. And I'm proving my point, and I hope people can respect that.
And I know we've kind of talked about the negative feedback for quite a few minutes here, but I wanted to also ask you about the positive feedback because
Oh, that
positive
little
feedback's
bit of it.
it's always a good thing. So, like, who are the people that you've really been able to lean on at like during this time, and like what has the feedback been like from them, and just be able to like get those little like sparks of positivity to continue to go forward.
There hasn't been many people really, like, I mean, my family obviously is like,
Hmm.
I don't really understand why this is becoming such a big deal,
Yeah.
because they see my side and they see the other side, and they're kind of like, it is what it is.
Hmm.
Obviously, like my closest friends, or some of them, have like had my back with it. I think that everyone who I talk to who has my back also is like, you should see it this way too, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I do. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like a back and forth. I think we're all generally pretty neutral. No one's like applauded me. Like I said before, I don't want anyone to. And no one's
Yeah.
been like, wow, I really want to be you. But like, I've gotten people who come up to me like, hey, I heard you're doing Spiffy High. Like, that's really cool. And
Hmm.
like, someone just saying that is kind of like also what's having me still participate. Cause it's like, you know what, like someone
Yeah.
appreciates it. So I don't know.
And like going off of that point, what has been the message that, like, you said that there's like sort of an open dialogue between you and your close friends about, hey, look at this, I'm gonna say this to you. What have you told the people around you about competing? Like, what is that, like, how have you kind of went about doing that?
Like how I feel about competing.
Yeah, like when they like come up to you and they're giving a counterpoint, maybe you should see it this way. What are you mainly saying to them?
I'm kinda saying, like, yeah, like, I agree. Like, I've always said, people probably think I look ridiculous, and I'm just trying to have the spotlight on me. Like, I
Hmm.
say the same thing basically that I said already. But I'll also just be like, I mean, I kinda get mad because 'cause I'm kinda like, like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like, I'm just trying to, like, do a thing, and I don't know. I really don't get why people care that much, because I don't care. Like, I
Hmm.
don't get why people care that much.
It's definitely very interesting to kind of see, um both sides of things, because like here you are kind of like coming out to tell your story, but then it's almost like, um for right or wrong, like this like attention label kind of like is like following you.
Yeah.
And um what do you expect the crowd to be like tomorrow, when, or on Friday, when you take the stage? Like, how are you going to react to, whether it may be boos, applause, a little bit of both?
Honestly,
What is going to be your take on things?
I hope I get booed. I really do. I'm just gonna stand there like laughing because I'm really expecting that to happen. But I hope that people have the decency to just be like, like, good for her. Like,
Yeah.
she's standing up there, like, whatever. Um, After like all the stuff that I've had to deal with, literally within the last 24 hours itself, like, it's just, I would hope that people give me some sort of applause, maybe a snap, maybe a smile. I don't know, something like, I don't know.
So like, are you almost approaching this as like, it's like a big FU performance to like the people who have kind of like your haters? Like, is this almost like a performance out of spite in a way? Not like, I don't think spite's the right word,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
is this like an FU performance to the people who have kind of made your life difficult during this time?
To be completely honest, if I don't figure out the obstacles I just overcame today, I might as well make it a big FU performance to literally everyone who's giving me a hard time, because it's so stressful right now.
Mhm.
Um,
Do you
but
mind,
that's not what.
is it possible to go into that a little bit?
Um, I was basically just told that I can't do part of my act because it would be offensive, but I'm actually demonstrating how this show itself was initially offensive.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was trying to get my point across that, like, that's actually not what it represents, and if anyone ever saw my act as it was supposed to be, they would realize that nothing about it is offensive at all, and it's actually making a statement. Um, so yeah, I have to figure out something else now, which is fine because shit happens. But um, I don't want it to be an FU performance. I want it to
Mhm.
be, hey, I'm doing it because of this, and you should recognize this. But I don't want it to be an FU performance because I don't feel any hate towards anyone. Like, I feel frustration towards a bunch of people, but I'm not gonna be like, what, F you for making my life hard from this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be petty like that, and I don't want people to be petty towards me like that. I don't have any bad blood right now. People are making the bad blood for themselves with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, like, you're not really angry at anybody. It's essentially like other people who are kind of,
Create.
creating like, yeah, stuff about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you come up with like the original act that got nixed? Like, what goes into kind of creating an act for like this talent show that's supposed to be like, you're supposed to want to win it, but it can't be too legitimate of an act.
Yeah.
It has to be some sort of funny, because
Yeah.
if it's not funny, then it
It's
totally just like blows up. Like, how do
yeah.
you come up with an act while also, still wanting to make a statement about, what you're standing for?
Well, I know what the other contestants are doing. It's like every guy typically does a dance or a song, and it's funny when a guy tries, like, these kind of guys, like, tries to
Hmm.
like sing and dance because they're purposely doing it bad. Like, they're purposely
Yeah.
not good at it, and that's why it's funny. I, however, have sung in my acting career. I have danced as a dancer for like 12 years. I can't be a bad dancer.
That's a very big flex, Sophie.
I didn't mean
That's
flex.
a very big flex.
I can't be like, I can't dance poorly and make it look funny. It just doesn't work that way. And for me individually, so I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I actually really didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I kind of just tried to incorporate the reason why I'm doing it into my act and then base something funny off of that, because you can make a joke about anything, really.
Yeah.
Like, I can joke about why I'm doing it. Like, wow, I'm really being dramatic. I'm really making this a bigger deal than it is. Okay. Like, I can turn that into an act. So I kind of just took like the basis of why I was doing it and tried to make something around it while like making my statement.
How did you do, like, since the idea is Nick's, how were you planning to do that?
I don't know. That is currently where I'm at. I really don't know.
So I guess, like, what do you want people to take away? Do you want people to take away, like, do you want people to take away, she's just grandstanding, kind of a spiteful performance? Like, how are you going to strike that balance of being able to properly say whatever your message is, other than coming onto this podcast and telling your story? Because not everyone at Spiffy High on Friday is going to be able to see this podcast. Like, will people see it mostly as like a grandstand?
I mean, probably. Honestly, like, at this point, I want people to know like the pushback I've gotten, and I want people to know like the amount of stress that I've been under like doing this. And it should not be stressful. It's supposed to be like a fun thing for our school. And I kind of want people to know about it. So honestly, I hope that people take away that, you know what, this was really, really stressful for no reason. And that's kind of like also why I was doing it, to show that like a girl literally can't even participate without saying that, oh, she's looking for attention. She's just doing this to like to put the spotlight on her. Like, of course someone would say that, like, of course, because I'm the first girl doing it. Like, it's just easy. It's easy to point a finger that way. And that's kind of the point.
Are you surprised though that girls are also pointing that finger? It's like, it's not like this is just like guys being like morons. This is also girls pointing a finger.
I'm sure.
Like, are you surprised by that?
I'm sure the majority of I'm sure the majority of people who said that about me were girls, because the guys that I've talked to have been like, okay, like, cool, like, whatever, like, they don't really care. I'm sure guys said it too. I don't know. It doesn't really surprise me, honestly. Everyone's looking for drama, so.
So what is your act as of Wednesday night at 9:28?
As of Wednesday night at 9:28 p.m., I'm not telling you.
Is it a dance? Is it a song?
You'll see when you come in the audience.
All right. Well, thank you, Sophie. Yeah. We're finishing up your side of the interview currently. We're going to have Jamie come on in a couple minutes to talk about what's it like to be an organizer of Spiffy High, her club, as well as other stuff as well. Is there anything you would like to kind of, the floor is yours for the last couple minutes. Is there anything you'd like to say about any of this? Is there anything that I missed?
I don't think so. I just hope people know that, like, it wasn't for attention. It's not to put the spotlight on me. I'm just a senior girl participating in a fundraiser event for our school, and it really should not have been taken deeper than that. And I'm sorry that it did. Like, I'm sorry it came off that way. And I hope that it doesn't happen in the future like that, because it's not fair.
And I know you're stressed. I know you're stressed about this. Are you nervous, or are you more excited at this point? Like, other than stressed, where's your emotions lying currently?
I'm not nervous because I'm not expecting to win. I don't think I'm going to, and that's fine, because I never thought I was going to. Although I want to, that'd be pretty cool.
Are you even nervous that people are kind of like hating on the event at this point, or hating on your act?
No, because I knew from the get-go that it was going to get hated on. None of this surprises me. And if I let it bother me, I was just going to drown in it. Like, I really don't care. Like, I don't care what other people think about it. Like, it's what I want to do and it's how I feel about it. And that's what's important to me, is like that I'm confident and that I'm going to go out there and do what I can make the most out of this situation. That's really all that matters to me.
Cool. Well, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Of course. So unfortunately, I could not open up the chat for tonight's event due to previous live podcasts that I've had with the chat getting inappropriate, and it's just too hard. I don't have a podcast producer with me, so it's just too hard to monitor that chat. So unfortunately, you guys in the audience won't be able to talk about your opinions on the YouTube, but you could definitely talk about them on your own time, you know, talk to your stuffed animals tonight about them. But yeah, we're just waiting for Jamie to come on, and then we're going to hear from Jamie all about what's it like to be an organizer. I'm going to ask her about her club Grow Up, which is a super interesting club that I want you guys to know about, as well as, you know, other Spiffy High stuff. Maybe we'll touch on some topics that Sophie talked about. But yeah, so just stay tuned for a couple minutes. Sophie, thank you again.
Thanks, Matt.
And once again, before organizer. Oh shoot! I keep unmuting myself on the other screen. Apologies. But once again, also, this right here, as Jamie is coming in now, this YouTube page is pretty much your one-stop shop. You could check out more episodes of the podcast. We have a great episode from last December with Julian Martin, excellent filmmaker at the school. Shout out to Julian if he's watching. We also have anything Lucky Profit related, which is my band. Hey Jamie, how are you? And then yeah, so take some time, go through some of the YouTube videos that I have up there. And now we have guest number 2 of the night. Jamie, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. That was not enthusiastic at all, but I'm happy that you're here. So you're one of 4 organizers of Spiffy High this year. With who are the other 3?
It's Emily Walsh, Alexa Gingold, and Samantha Edelman.
Cool. So I guess, like, as one of the main organizers of Spiffy High, what has pretty much been your main job? How many months have you been planning this for?
We started about a month ago, I think. This is actually for a DECA project, so we're eventually writing like a long paper about it.
Okay, sweet. But what are you essentially tasked with as like organizer?
So we're pretty much planning the whole event. Every year, it goes to a charity, as you said. So we pick the charity that it goes to. This year, it's the Plainfield Humane Society. So we choose that. We deal with casting the participants. We film their trailer. We put the tickets together. We choreograph the dances. We teach them the dances. We organize the rehearsals. We sell the tickets. We promote the show. Pretty much a lot goes into it.
Cool. And like I've never seen Spiffy High. Friday's gonna be my first time ever seeing it. I've watched a few clips on YouTube, but can you tell us about the history? Pretty much, like, obviously it's for charity, but like, what has it been like in previous years? Like, obviously before COVID.
Before COVID, it's just been a bunch of boys getting up on the stage. They perform acts that they put together. They're usually pretty talentless, nothing really abstract. And then there's judges who are scoring them, and there's escorts walking around collecting money. And the person who has the most money automatically goes into the final 4, and then the judges make the final decision.
Cool. And so I know this year's is for Hurricane Ida over in Plainfield. How did you guys pick this year's charity?
It was between that. Miss Fitzgibbon actually mentioned it to us, and then the food bank. And we thought because the Humane Society is more local, that it'd be more meaningful, and we'd know that the money would actually be doing good, not just being thrown into something.
Yeah. And so I know you guys, I assume you watched the first part of the interview this tonight?
Yeah.
With Sophie. And kind of transitioning to that, obviously she's the first female participant. Have you had I guess, marketing as far as it used to be Mr. Spiffy High. Did it change the way that you guys like kind of have marketed the talent show or like changed any of the orders of the events this year?
Yeah, we completely changed the name. Obviously, it's just
Yeah.
Spiffy High now. We've promoted it as a girl being in the show, and normally I think the sashes say something with Mr. Spiffy High. That's changed. Yeah.
Have you seen, like, since you've marketed it as also a female participant in the show, have you guys seen like an increase in interest? Like what has been the feedback so far about like Sophie participating in Spiffy High?
I think people are definitely more intrigued by it now. I think they like the drama, I guess, behind it.
That's why I'm doing this podcast, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I'm profiting off the drama.
It's definitely gained a lot more attention than I think it has in the past years.
When did you guys find out that she was competing?
We sent out the form, I think, a month ago, and she filled it out.
Could I ask what your thoughts are on pretty much the whole thing? And do you feel that it's gotten blown up a little bit too much, or what is your take on it?
I think it has gone. I think it has blown up a little bit too much. I want to start by saying that I think like what obviously I'm passionate about women empowerment. Like I have a women empowerment club.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, I think that it's impressive that she can stand up there and do this after receiving all this backlash. And I support a girl being in this event, but I don't personally think the event is sexist in any way.
Why do you think that it's not sexist?
So Miss Fitzgibbon, she always preaches to us how there are very little women CEOs in this world. There are very little women leading the business world, running organizations. And pretty much this has been an experience for us to practice leading an organization. Like it's all female led. We're the ones, we're dealing with the money, we're setting everything up, we're choosing the charity, we're choreographing the boys, we're figuring out the funds, we're promoting it. So it's just giving us this experience to be leaders in the future as women.
Yeah. And what has that experience pretty much been like to be able to, get hands-on experience with organizing, leading, like you talked about organizing the rehearsals, picking the charity, like all of that. What has that been like?
It's been good. It's been stressful because obviously like boys aren't listening at times or not turning things in on time.
Yeah.
But it's been a good experience to know what it's like to actually lead an organization, the problems that come with it, overcoming the obstacles.
Yeah. And I know you run a club at the high school, Girl Up. You just mentioned it. Talk to us about what that's all about. What has it been like pretty much leading that club through COVID? Has it been a difficult experience for you?
Yeah, so my friend Alexa Gingold and I actually started it right before COVID happened.
Interesting.
So we were just getting our foot off the ground. It's a club through the United Nations to basically empower women around the world and raise funds. So we wanted to do like a walkathon and all this stuff that came with it, but we obviously couldn't do that during COVID. We did do a virtual walkathon though, so people had it like on their treadmill or like counting steps on their Apple Watch. We did that.
Yeah.
We were still able to donate to a battered women's shelter. And then we also brought in Michelle Feinberg, who's a woman CEO of a major company that's very successful, to talk about her experience as a woman leading an organization and have her inspire other young women to do the same.
And she's truly incredible. Shout out if she's watching. She actually designed the jerseys for the best basketball team in the country, the Hanukkah Hoopers. Shout out to the Hanukkah Hoopers tonight who are watching the show. So Sophie, she mentioned in the interview that her act was essentially like cut out or nixed. I don't want to get into all of that right here. but do you care to comment on that?
I didn't really have a say in that,
Mhm.
so no.
Do you see, so like I know you mentioned that you don't think Spiffy High is sexist. Do you see it, and I asked Sophie this too, like why Spiffy High is the platform to kind of showcase her voice for activism and kind of like um step into the spotlight. Do you see Spiffy High as the appropriate platform to do so? Like what are your thoughts on not necessarily um like Sophie's activism, but using Spiffy High to send a message?
I mean, I totally see why she chose that to send the message. Like it's set up like that. It's
Mhm.
all boys. It's called Mr. Spiffy High. It's a local community event that everyone in our school knows about. So I see why that was the platform.
Yeah, I just I think it's just it's definitely fascinating just getting to talk to everybody about this all because it's like it seems like a lot of people are upset with kind of like the tradition being broken. Like not to compare the changing of Park Middle School to Nettingham Middle School, but I almost get like a similar like vibe to it. It's like this changing of tradition from Park to Nettingham, people pounding salt about it, along with Mr. Spiffy High turning the Spiffy High. And I do get Sophie's point that it is 2021 and female empowerment, but I do think there is an interesting question to be had is this the correct platform to do so? And like
Yeah,
will it become more of a grandstand or will it be an act that is true to the Spiffy High atmosphere?
I think that people would have had a better reaction if she created Mrs. Spiffy High because
Hmm.
I think most people were just upset that like this is a tradition that's been going on for so long. No one had a problem with it. It was all boys, whatever. So
Hmm.
I think that's part of it, but this is also a good way for her to make a statement.
Yeah. Do you think that other girls in the future will, you know, look to participate in Mr. Spiffy or Spiffy High or if Mrs. Spiffy High gets created, do you see that becoming the hit that Mr. Spiffy or that Spiffy High is? Apologies.
Yeah, I think if Mrs. Spiffy High was created, girls would definitely join.
Hmm.
I think maybe other girls would be too scarred from the backlash that Sophie has received
Yeah.
to be a part of the original Spiffy High.
And like I spoke to people during the week. I'm sure you spoke to people. I'm sure everybody has kind of had their ear to the ground. How deep do you think that like this runs and why do you think people are so upset by it? And people are so upset by it to the point where they're probably going to go to Spiffy High on Friday. And if I had to guess, there's going to be some moronic boys there who are going to start booing her. Like people are upset, but then people are still going to give her the time of day. It's interesting to me. Like, why are people so upset yet are gonna go see this?
Yeah, I don't know if people are upset. I think it's just a matter of tradition being broken, but also traditions are meant to be broken. Like they can't
Yeah,
stay the same forever. I don't
definitely.
know. I agree that it's probably just drama people are looking for, but
Would you participate in a Miss Spiffy High this spring?
probably not.
If you had to do a talent though, what would be your talent?
um, I would probably dance because I'm not a good dancer, so that would be funny.
That would be very good.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I would compete in. I don't know. I'd have to think about
Do a
that one.
podcast, a
Like a
live
podcast that just
podcast.
like totally like malfunctions midway through.
Yeah.
Why should people come to Spiffy High on Friday?
They should come to Spiffy High because it's a local community event. It's a way to all kind of come together
Hmm.
and watch this happen. It's for a great cause. And it's just entertaining.
What are the acts that you're especially excited to see about to see in person?
I actually don't know anyone's act right now.
You don't know anyone's act.
No, I don't. The first rehearsal where I'm gonna see is tomorrow night. So I'll get
Who
back on that.
who are you like most excited to see? You have Sophie, you have Joe Monaco, BK, Jake Monroy, Ben Cohen, Jordan Lopak, Isaac. Chester. Am I missing one more? I don't think I'm missing one. Maybe I'm missing one more. Is there somebody in that group? Because I have somebody who I think is just going to be absolutely hysterical on Friday.
I actually do know Isaac's act. I'm not
I
going
think
to say
Isaac
what
is
it.
going to be great.
Yeah.
He's just a funny guy. So
He's a funny guy. He has a funny act planned. I honestly think they're all going to be funny. Like they're all pretty funny kids.
mhm. I'm very excited for this. But Jamie, do you have anything else to add before we let you go?
I don't think so. Just that everyone should come to Spiffy High on Friday.
Well, thank you for spending some time with us. We heard at the top of the hour, we heard from Sophie, who is our first female participant in Spiffy High. Then we transitioned to Jamie, who is one of our organizers of Spiffy High. We also got to hear more about Grow Up. Where could people hear more about Grow Up?
We have an Instagram called Girl Up.
Mm-hmm. And then is there a Google Classroom or?
Yeah, there's a Google Classroom.
Okay, so if you send me the Google Classroom, I'll post it in the podcast description. But yeah, thank you guys for spending time with us. Maybe our final few minutes, I'll open up the chat. After Jamie goes, I'll open up the chat. I'll see what's going on there. But thank you guys for spending time with us. You heard Sophie, you heard Jamie, and yeah, I guess I'll open up the chat for a couple minutes, so stick around. Thank you again, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
Have a nice night.
You too.
All right. So let me open up the chat here. Oh, shoot. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing here. I think I need a podcast producer. I think my dad needs to help me out next time. But thank you guys for coming on. And yes, we will see you guys soon. This YouTube page, if you want to come back to it for reference, will be up tonight, as well as the podcast will be published on all platforms starting tomorrow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thank you guys for coming out, and have a nice night.